Hey everybody, it's Muscle Car Campy here, and today we're bringing you a taste of alphabet soup. From 1968, we have a Hemi 4-speed Dodge Coronet RT and 1968 Plymouth GTX, also a Hemi 4-speed car. Before we get into this video though, don't forget, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live. This is a great day for Muscle Car Campy. I'm here with Bob Helmick, great friend of Merritt Pennington, who owns this 68 Hemi 4-speed GTX. And as soon as I got here, he says, "Do you want to go for a ride?" And I'm like, yes, I want to go for a ride. Now this is all manual everything, right? Manual brakes, manual steering.
Yes.
Man, so it's probably a little bit of a handful to drive. You know, I know, Bob, they were expensive when new, but why didn't more people buy these cars with the Hemi? Boy, it just seems...
The cost of the Hemi was $800, and they just couldn't see spending it.
Well, it drives beautifully, too. I mean, it just rides so nice.
It rides nice and performs well.
This is heaven. For Muscle Car Campy, I'm telling you, if heaven isn't full of cars like this, then I've been wasting my time being a good boy all these years. Chrysler Corporation was as deeply embedded in racing as any company in the 1960s. Yeah, they didn't care about IndyCar, and they surely weren't embedded in sports car racing. But when it came to drag racing and NASCAR speedways, they were as successful as anybody else. The Max Wedge B-bodies were terrors on the street and strip, and then later in '64 the Hemi cars came out. But let's be honest, Chrysler wasn't moving a lot of high-performance iron back then compared to Pontiac, Chevrolet, and Ford. They were still suffering from the weird styling of the early '60s, and no matter how much horsepower they threw at the problem, it didn't really translate into sales. When Pontiac unleashed the GTO for '64, Dodge and Plymouth should have been ready to clean up. But while their offerings didn't lack horsepower and performance, what they lacked was an image. The GTO's success was as much due to styling and preconceived notions as it was quarter-mile performance. That changed in '67 with the Dodge RT and Plymouth GTX. These cars offered as much or more performance as the GTO, but did so in tough-looking packages. Bucket seats, cool gauges, floor shifters, all that was the call of the day, and the Mopar cars had it in spades. Things only got better for '68 when the revamped B-bodies hit the street. Styling was all new and left all the baggage from the early '60s behind. The standard engine in both cars was the 440 with 375 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. The only optional plant was the 426 Hemi with an underrated 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. Muscle car fans, we have a real treat for you today. Not only do we have a couple of great Mopars, both with Hemi 4-speeds, but we have the owner, Merritt Pennington. Merritt, thanks for coming on the show with us today.
Well, you're quite welcome.
These cars, and I know you have a lot of cars, these two caught my eye the first time I saw them, and these are two spectacular cars. Tell us a little bit about, we'll start with the RT in the background. Tell us about that car.
Well, let me go with the white one first.
Go ahead.
The white one was actually the very first Hemi car I bought.
Okay.
Of all my collection. I bought that from a fellow here local, and I restored it over time. It took me about 19 years to do this car, but it stopped and started finding parts. I wanted to find the best parts possible. So I had it, like I said, I've had it since probably 92 or 93. So that's how I ended up with this car. I got the black car about 10 years ago, and it's been restored for probably 3 to 4 years. So that was not my latest car, because I've got cars since, but It's one of the latest ones that I got, and it wasn't restored either. I had to do that one too, or I had it done by my professional people that do it.
Hmm.
So, is there anything you'd like to know?
Well, let's talk about the white car first. This car, you described it as slightly over restored underneath. It's instead of primer, it's bright white. What I found interesting when I first saw this car is I've never seen a white GTX with a white interior, but there's more to this car than just the seat cover color. You told me 7 different blues
It's seven
inside.
different blues in the interior of this car, and everybody that I've spoken to, the gurus of Mopar, said they've never seen a car with that many different color blues in the interior. They said it's unbelievable. It's very unique.
It's fabulous. And what's interesting is this car has the optional headrests.
Yep.
It has the remote outside mirror, and it's Plymouth. The Dodge, on the other hand, has dog dish hubcaps. The Dodge is supposed to be the fancy one. That one has the poverty caps, has a standard manual outside mirror, and it doesn't have headrests.
Right.
But it does have the gauge package.
Yes.
That's
Rally dash.
Rally Dash.
With
Looks
the tack.
with the tack, and I noticed it was working. The clock was working.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm like looking over your shoulder right now. I'm seeing the detail in the fender well.
It's triple black too.
Oh man, it's just how many? Now I know the RT. There's not many of those made with the Hemi and a 4-speed.
219, I think, total,
Mm-hmm.
and there was 100 4-speeds made,
Wow.
and it's pretty stripped. It's manual steering, manual brakes, manual transmission. So there's not a whole lot of options. I think it was built to do one thing: go fast and stop.
Now this car, like you said, this car also has manual brakes.
It's stripped too. It's manual steering, manual brakes, manual transmission too. It's only got the few options that you said: the remote outside mirror and the whatever the other one was. I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, the Hemi engine and a 4-speed. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to only get a
And the
couple of
headrest.
options, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
They're 2 pretty good options to get.
Yes, sir. That was good. And it's got a Dana 60 rear end.
Mhm.
All 4-speed Hemi cars had Dana 60 rear ends. They got 354 gears.
In both cars.
So, in both cars.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the track back.
Yeah.
The super track back was the 410. So the track back was standard.
And I know you've got a lot of Mopars. When did you get into the Mopar hobby?
I've always loved Mopars, even when I was a kid. And then when I moved to Florida, I used to hang out at a garage. And a bunch of my friends said, "Why don't you get a car and do your own?" So I did. I bought a 69 Charger, 383 car. And I did it. But a friend of mine came up to me. He goes, "You'll never get your money back with 383 cars." It's like, so he said, "You need to do specialty cars, Hemi cars, 6-pack cars. You'll never go wrong with those cars. If you store them and do them correctly, you'll get your money back. But you don't want to modify them. You want to make them correct as possible. And if you ever do decide to sell them, you'll get your money back." So I sold the 383 Charger, and I bought this white GTX, and it just snowballed from there. I just kept running across cars, and I'd buy them and put them away, and I'd restore them when I got around to it.
What's next for Merritt? What's your next car, do you think?
To do or to try to buy?
Either.
Well, I doubt I can ever afford it, but they only made a Hemi Roadrunner in 4 years: 68, 69, 70, and 71. I got a 68, a 69, and a 70. I don't have a 71. 71s are rare. They only made 55. 28 automatics and 27 4-speeds.
So that leaves you with a choice of 27 cars to find.
Yes.
Because I know you're Mr. 4-speed.
And all the ones I've seen were way out of my price range. So I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to end up with a 71 Hemi Roadrunner. But who knows?
You never know. You
Correct.
know, you never know. You may
No.
sell something else that you're not quite as fond of anymore. Maybe the way to go.
Yes, sir.
Merritt,
So-
I really appreciate you letting us do some video on these cars, and I know I'll be back soon because
Okay, and you're always welcome.
and I definitely want to come back for your show next year, next April.
Okay.
So Mopars at Merritt's.
I got your address, your phone number, and all your other information, so I'll stay in touch.
Thank you very
You
much,
do the
Merritt.
same, okay?
Will do.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim.
1968 was the year of the supercar for Plymouth. Between the Roadrunner and the GTX, they sold over 63,000 units. While Dodge didn't sell nearly as many RTs and Super Bs, they also sold Chargers, so it was definitely a good time to be in the performance business. This is Muscle Car Campy saying take care. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live. Tell all your friends about this video, share the link. See you soon.